I must say I was quite amazed to see so many of you here today in the middle of July, between Bastille Day in France and Belgian Day in Belgium next week. I think, well, I'd like to see this as a sign of the importance of the matter that we're discussing today. Alexander, I think, very rightly reminded us of the need to increase harmonization and quality of public accounting. But the reality is that I think there is more, a lot more than this. At the end of the day, it is not only about financial reporting and public finance. It is about improving public management. It is about improving the accountability of policymakers and politicians. And I dare to say that it is maybe about the sustainability of our democratic system, which, to my humble view, are not in a terribly good shape today. So I think we need a strong sense of purpose and responsibility in this debate. Maggie very rightly actually reminded us that auditors enjoy conceptual arguments. I can certainly testify of this. But I think it's also true of national administrations and politicians. I would even wonder whether this is not an area of European excellence. We seem to be having a talent to disagree and talk on the continent. But maybe we're a little bit less good or not good enough at action. And the example I already used, I think, in this room, but that I'm going to serve again, is that of the accounting directive. I think we should not forget that when we talked about the accounting directive for private sector companies, after 8 years of debate, we produced a text that includes more than 100 options. I do hope that we're not going in this direction with public sector accounting. But I do worry that our institutional system makes things quite difficult, especially when it comes to accounting. I must honestly say that I struggle a little bit imagining that our current institutions are fit to produce accounting standards. Therefore, for companies' financial reporting standards, I think it was the right thing to do to outsource standard setting to the ISD. It made sense. Maybe otherwise, today, we would still be discussing public sector accounting standards for listed entities. Or maybe we would have moved already to US GAAP. So what about the conceptual framework? Well, I think John very rightly demonstrated that the conceptual framework is an imperative, and I saw broad agreement on that matter amongst all participants today, and this is good news. I think John also very rightly emphasized the importance of the sound due process, which is essential, showing in his demonstration that there may be times where changing views is necessary. This should actually include, I believe, changing strategy if we realize that we're not reaching our objectives, if we're not, for instance, delivering on independent, high-quality, harmonized standards, if we're not making the best use of scarce resources in standard setting, i.e., I would say, if we start reinventing the SASB wheel with only limited additional benefits. I think I said scarce resources because, and that was good news today, Alexander, I think even if the European Commission puts its 33,000, I think, staff on the job, and I think that number includes cleaning ladies and a number of other people, still, I think, expertise in the field of standard setting is a scarce resource. So we do need to make the best use of scarce resources, and we need to avoid duplication. I think it was suggested also that the conceptual framework may have another important role, which could be to define where divergences with IPSAS may be justified. Maybe that's something we should think about, I think. Another key benefit I personally see in having a conceptual framework, and maybe a good reason to start with this in the EU, is that it might help us identify early in the process the potential divergencies, these issues that are likely later down the road to delay or block the further phases. Just may be a good way of avoiding ending up with our 100 options of the accounting directive. And maybe if this process of the conceptual framework shows that there is no need to reinvent the wheel I just talked about, well then maybe let's not change it. By the way, I think the discussions we're having in this room have already changed. I think we started talking about IPSAS, then we changed a letter, we started talking about EPSAS, we changed another letter, we talked about EPSAS-P, I think that's a difficult one, the principles, right? And we learned that we're now talking about some sort of conceptual framework light, a new word that made me think of Coca-Cola. In their series of products release, they went on with Coca-Cola Light, and the next thing they came up with was Coca-Cola Zero. I think next time we're not going to be talking about public sector accounting zero. So to avoid that, I think Alexander very rightly reminded us the role of the European Commission, the important role for all of us of being the guardian of the treaty. But I think it's also more than that. You are the guardians of the European collective interest. And I think this may be different from the political power play of the day. And we have to stand strong on that. I think I know a little bit what the feeling may be with 47 professional institutes of accountants from 36 countries. I might have a little bit of an idea of that. And Manfred actually also said that sometimes the short-term interest of one, in that case, member state, may differ. But I believe it is the duty of the Commission to stand strong and resist when it is necessary. Because on the long term, I believe that the private interest, with an S, if I can pronounce the S, converge with the collective interest. So, Alexander, I think, you can go on holidays being assured that you have our support to do the right thing. And I hope we shall meet again. Thank you.